we are talking about the most abundant amino acid in the body, a super important supplemental amino acid, one of my favorite supplements. It has a little bit of a dark side, and there's some folks who are saying that you might not want to supplement with glutamine. I don't buy into that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Glutamine, the supplement, this amino acid, the most abundant amino acid in the body, glutamine, really, really important as a fuel source. Cells can derive energy from glutamine like they do from glucose, as we said on our last program. That makes glutamine really helpful for sugar cravings. You can actually get energy. Cells can get energy from glutamine as they can from glucose, but glutamine doesn't really affect insulin as much as glucose. It might affect it a little bit, but certainly not as much as glucose does. And that means glutamine's great for diabetics. If you're trying to wean yourself off of bread or pasta or sweets, if you just have that kind of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar kind of feeling in the middle of the day, glutamine can help. Glutamine is the primary source of fuel for all rapidly dividing cells. That means cells of the immune system, that means cells of the skin, and it means cells of the digestive tract. Glutamine is awesome for all digestive tract issues. Even folks who don't believe in supplementing with glutamine have to concede that if you're dealing with leaky gut syndrome or any kind of breakdown in the digestive lining, digestive tract, glutamine can be one of your best supplemental friends. If you think of the digestive tract as a long tube similar to a garden hose, the intestinal cells would make up what would be the lining of the garden hose. Outside the garden hose would be your blood and the contents of the garden hose, which in the case of our digestive tract garden hose would be the food. So you got food going down the garden hose, going down the digestive tract. We're calling it a garden hose. And that food is separated from the outside part of the digestive tract, the outside part of the garden hose, only by digestive lining cells. Outside the digestive tract, or digestive tract / garden hose, you get the blood. And the only barrier between the food we eat and the blood are these enterocytes, these intestinal cells. That makes these intestinal cells really, really, really important. Remember, the blood is the sacred space. Nothing gets into the blood unless it's been processed and purified and cleared as not being an enemy. And the bouncers, the guards, the guardians of the blood are the intestinal cells, the enterocytes. They form a wall. They form a barrier between food that we eat and the blood. The blood is the holy of holies. The blood is the sacred space of the body, and nothing, absolutely nothing, is supposed to get into the blood unless it's been fully processed. When our enterocytes, when our intestinal cells, which are running on glutamine, let me say that again, these things are important, and they're running on glutamine. When the enterocytes, intestinal cells are healthy, we eat our food. Enzymes and acids and various digestive chemicals act on our hamburgers and our steaks and our pasta and our peanut butter and jelly sandwich, whatever we're eating. And the foods get broken down into their component parts, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, glucose, triglycerides, fats. And then, and only then, only after the foods that we eat have been broken down into their constituent parts, into their smallest parts, then and only then intestinal cells, enterocytes, will suck those nutrients up, and then they will get released into the blood very carefully and in a very regulated fashion. However, when these intestinal cells, when these enterocytes that line our garden hose, that line our intestinal tract or digestive tract garden hose, when these enterocytes become weakened, big problems follow. I would probably tell you that almost all degenerative diseases, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, Parkinson's disease, autoimmune disease, especially autoimmune diseases, all of these things involve on some level messed up enterocytes, messed up intestinal cells. This is where gluten acts, by the way. Gluten acts to muck up these intestinal cells. In fact, not just gluten, but a lot of plant materials. This is a major weapon, a major defensive mechanism for plants. They manufacture chemicals that disrupt or disturb enterocytes. These chemicals are called lectins. We've talked about them. And gluten is just one, but it's a classic example of a plant defensive molecule, chemical warfare made by plants that disturb enterocytes, that disturb intestinal cells, that disturb the lining of our garden hose. These garden hose enterocytes, which are acting like bouncers, regulate what is getting into the blood. Only nutrients that have been fully processed are going to gain entrance into the bloodstream. When the enterocytes break down, they begin to lose energy, they get weakened. Incompletely digested food particles, for the most part, peptides, can sneak into the bloodstream. Peptides are little pieces of protein. When we eat a protein-containing food, and all foods contain a little bit of protein, that protein has to get broken down into amino acids, the little tiniest building blocks. But sometimes, before the proteins get completely broken down into amino acids, when there's still maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 3 amino acids long, they're called peptides, they can sneak into the blood when the enterocytes are weak. And hang tight, I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Our number's 855-660-4261. Got a couple lines open for you. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. All right, we were talking about glutamine and the digestive system. Glutamine is a fuel for lots of cells in the body, especially fast-dividing cells. The cells that line our garden tube digestive tract are very fast-dividing. That's because they're constantly being wounded. Think about it. You're eating foods. These things are constantly processing things, and cells are being damaged and wounded. They're constantly being replaced and repaired. And glutamine is involved in fueling this entire process. That makes them glutamine very important for the health of intestinal cells. When intestinal cells get weakened, big problems result. When we eat foods, those foods get processed and digestive juices by enzymes, and those foods get broken down into their constituent or component parts. If they don't get broken down completely into their tiniest little parts, big problems can result, especially if the intestinal tract becomes weakened. Especially when it comes to proteins. We eat protein foods. They're supposed to get broken down to amino acids. If they're not broken down completely and they're just left as peptides and the enterocytes have become weakened, those peptides can sneak into the Holy of Holies, the sacred space of the blood. They can kind of go around, do an end run around these enterocytes, sneaking in kind of the back door, and from there, we're off to the disease races, especially autoimmune diseases. This is why I'm always telling you, there is no such thing as an autoimmune disease that is not preceded by some kind of digestive health breakdown. You're not going to hear that from your doctor. And this is why the modern medical model is useless, impotent, helpless when it comes to treating these kinds of disorders. Do you know to this day there's not a single way that your doctor can help you deal with an autoimmune disease, or any disease for that matter, any degenerative disease? Nada, nothing, zippo, zero. There's nothing your doctor can do, yet we persist in heading to our doctor the first time, at the first sign of some kind of degenerative disease, some kind of breakdown in the body. For the most part, the large majority of us, perhaps present company excluded, at least some present company excluded, we head to the doctor oblivious to the fact that they can't do anything about it. Nothing, except give you an immune suppressant. Congratulations, they'll shut down your immune system. That's how they do it. And the reason they can't help you is because they're not addressing the cause. They're not addressing where the breakdown begins, which is in the digestive system. Now, if you have stuff leaking into the blood every once in a while, that's one thing. Now, if it happens once, that's probably not a big deal. But it doesn't happen once. It doesn't happen twice. It doesn't happen 3 times, because we're not correcting the problem, because we don't know where the problem is. So once things get into the blood, once things do this little, food does this little end run around the enterocytes, it tends to keep happening. It happens not once or twice or 3 times. It happens once or twice or 3 times a day for weeks and months and years and decades. And this leakage of food particles, mostly peptides, around weakened enterocytes into the blood, initiating an immune response. That's what happens. Once this stuff gets into the blood, the immune system becomes activated. A red alert goes off. I love the metaphor of the robot in Lost in Space. When I think of an autoimmune or immune response in the blood, I think of that robot. I don't know how many of you guys remember the television show Lost in Space. There was a robot on there, and every time some kind of emergency came, he'd go, danger, 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 and he'd flap his little robot arms around. That's what I think of when the immune system is alerted because stuff is getting into the blood. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, danger, danger. And an entire immune response is initiated in the darn blood. That means inflamed blood. Now, what do you think? What do you think that's going to do to the body when the blood is inflamed? It's one thing to have a joint inflamed, but when you have the blood inflamed, the blood delivers stuff everywhere. Remember, this is the sacred space. This is the Holy of Holies. Once the blood is inflamed, everything becomes clotted and sticky and clogged. Secretion of fluids becomes messed up. Oxygen delivery becomes messed up. Nutrient delivery becomes messed up. Detoxification. The blood's doing all these things, and once you get this stickiness and this clogginess and this inflammation in the blood, all these things are compromised. And remember, it's all coming from weakened enterocytes and incomplete digestion. So over the course of time, you get this blood inflammatory process that infects the entire body. It robs the blood of oxygen. That causes further damage. And one of the fastest ways to clot the blood is to rob it of oxygen. So you got more clogging, more clotting, further damage. You get this negative downward spiral, all following weakened enterocytes, weakened digestion. This is why I hit on the digestive system so much on this program. I know probably if you don't listen to a lot of healthcare shows and you're just listening to this show, it sounds like I'm really going crazy with the digestive system, but you can see how important it is. If stuff gets into the blood secondary to a weakened digestive system, all diseases are likely. Any disease is likely. All diseases are possible. And by the way, this leakage of food into the blood, leaky gut syndrome, is one of the major reasons why anticoagulant drugs are among the best-selling drugs and represent such big-time dollars for drug companies. And drug companies aren't going to tell you any different. Read the pharmacy trade magazines. If you ever get bored, Google Pharmacy Times or U.S. Pharmacist. See if you can get, just look at a sample copy of it, and you're guaranteed you're going to find at least 1 or 2 or 3 advertisements for some kind of nasty blood-thinning drug. Now they're on TV, these commercials for blood-thinning drugs, Pradaxa and such. All of which is to say, folks, you want to keep your enterocytes healthy. And there's a lot of things you can do to keep your enterocytes healthy. We talked in the past about something called NAG, N-A-G, and acetylglucosamine. You'll find NAG in supplements. You'll find it in aloe. You'll find it in noni. Bone soup is a good source of NAG. The glucogel caps can provide you with glucosamine, which your body can convert into NAG. We don't talk about the glucogel caps as being good for your digestive system, but they are. The glucogel caps are good for all connective tissue as well. They're good for joints, obviously. That's what they're marketed for arthritis. But you can get, via this glucosamine, you can get some real good assistance for leaky gut syndrome and for digestive health in general. Vitamin C is important for the digestive lining, the enterocytes. Vitamin E is important. So is zinc. Very important for all fast-dividing cells. But of all the nutrients you can use for the health of your enterocytes, nothing is more important than glutamine, which, as I said, is the primary fuel for the cells, for the enterocyte cells that line our garden hose intestinal tract. These enterocytes are in a state of constant activity. They're constantly turning over, and they depend on fuel like glutamine to accomplish lots of their processing of food work. In addition to forming a barrier between the intestine and the rest of the body, which is so important, intestinal cells also play a major detoxification role. Glutamine is used to make glutathione in the intestinal cells, in the enterocytes. We'll talk about glutathione here in the coming days. Glutathione is your master detox molecule. And as it turns out, as you might expect, considering all the detox properties and responsibilities of intestinal cells, they make a lot of glutathione. Glutathione building is a very, very important health strategy. We will continue our discussion on glutamine and glutathione when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. We are back on The Bright Side. Thank you for joining us, friends. A couple more things I want to tell you about glutamine, and then we'll take your calls. Glutamine, just think enterocytes, think intestinal cells. Glutamine is important for all fast-dividing cells, immune cells, skin cells, the cells of the digestive lining. It helps you make glutathione in the intestinal cells, and glutathione is a major antioxidant detoxifier. You never want your enterocytes deprived of energy. Glutamine is fuel for the enterocytes. You don't want any cells deprived of energy. That's really the bottom line to health and wellness. Cells need energy to do their work. When we talk about disease and degeneration, we're talking about cells that don't have energy. Glutamine is fuel, it's gas, it's energy for enterocytes, and in this way, glutamine supplementation can not only help enterocytes, but glutamine uses fuel for the whole body. So glutamine can help every system in the body, but by helping intestinal cells stay energized, and via this glutathione connection, they can help prevent and reverse leaky gut syndrome, and thereby help reverse, eliminate, or prevent degenerative diseases of all kinds, including autoimmune diseases. All right, there's tons more I want to tell you about glutamine. We'll continue, we'll wind this thing down here in the next day or two, and then we'll get into some stuff about the master antioxidant, master detoxifier. Glutathione, of course, glutamine being a major component of this master cancer fighter. Take 5 grams of glutamine every day, a teaspoon. Put it in water, drink it down. It has no taste to it. And even though there's some healthcare professionals who don't recommend supplementing with glutamine, we'll talk about that here tomorrow or the next day. In my humble opinion, it's probably a wise thing to do, especially if you're dealing with a degenerative disease or a digestive problem or leaky gut syndrome. Okay, our number today, 855-660-4261. I will be doing a webinar this evening for the Natural Solutions Health Summit. It's naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com if you want to look up the website. And we have Brianne Hovey on the line. Brianne's going to tell us a little bit about it. Natural Solutions Health Summit. Greetings, Brianne. How you doing?
Hi, Ben. Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. Nice to talk to you. Tell our listeners a little bit about the seminar or webinar tonight.
Yeah,
or all week, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be going all week. It's 30 different classes in 6 days. And the classes are about 45-minute long. They're all accessible online or even over the phone. So they range from anything from hormones to making over your medicine cabinet with natural solutions, building better skin. We talk about men's health in particular and about helping your kids start to love greens, raw food. Honestly, so many different topics. So
Who's
fantastic.
doing this? Who's doing the skin?
Her name is Angela McElroy. It's someone I've actually worked with for about 10 years and is a fantastic educator, so I'm excited about it.
When is that going to be? I want to tune into that one.
Yeah, that's Thursday, January 23rd. So then just go to that website and you'll be able to get more information about this. Yeah, Natural Solutions Health Summit. So what's funny is that today is actually the first day of the summit. We're currently doing the very first class as we speak. So any of your listeners, this is going to be only for you guys because the registration closed yesterday. But if you go to the website today and you go to naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com and you go to the contact page and you plug in that you're one of Brightside listeners, then we will send you the link list and you can register for any of the classes. Not only that, but for free because the registration was $99 and
wow.
You will get to attend all of these classes for free because you're a Brightside listener.
Brianne, I owe you one. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for doing that.
Ben's tonight is, like you said, tonight at 6:30 Mountain Time is Ben's class, the Brightside Basics. So make sure that first year you get on right now and register because the classes are filling up. And the last thing I'll say is there's a giveaway in every single class live. But once you register, you're actually going to get access for 2 weeks. You can listen to any of the classes that were done, the recorded version. But make sure to try to be on live for the live giveaways.
Thank you so much, Brianne. That's naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com. I appreciate that very much, and so do my listeners.
Thanks, Ben. I'm excited to talk tonight.
Talk to you later today, too. Give me a call, okay? Thanks, Brianne.
Bye-bye.
Okay. That's my friend Brianne Hovey. She's doing a webinar, a week of webinars at naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com. She just offered it free for Brightside listeners. How cool is that? And it's ordinarily $99. I'm going to be doing something I call the Brightside Basics, which is something we don't get to talk about a lot on the program. We're always talking about specific things, but I'm going to do it's going to be a PowerPoint presentation. It's called Brightside Basics, and I'll be doing mine at 6:30. And you can find out all about it at naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com. Okay, time to hit our phones. 855-660-4261. Ken in Indiana, welcome to the Bright Side. What's up, buddy?
I love you out here in Indiana.
Ken, we got an awful connection. I'll tell you what. Call me right back. I'll get you first up. I'm going to take another call. Call me right back, and I'll take you first up. I apologize, but I just can't make heads or tails of what you're saying. But if you call me right back, we'll put you first up. Carl, the Truth Raider, welcome to the bright side. How'd your gig go, Carl?
Oh, it went okay. It was a little bit long in the bio, but they forgave me for it. But it turned out okay. Got a little bit of challenges for the topics that I was talking about by Fritz. He challenged a couple of the items that I had on the list of research about the topic that I've been working on, the whole thing about the 30 little known facts about America. And he challenged that perhaps two of the items were maybe compartmentalized to a particular time and a particular state, and not something that is, in fact, for the whole country. And he challenged me on that. But
Fritz
anyway,
did?
it was pretty good.
This is your friend Fritz you're talking about at Springmire?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he attended the group there. But anyway, today it's the Truth Raider getting in your face with the facts.
I love it.
That is my mission.
I love it.
And I wanted to contribute to the show today.
Okay. How can we help? How can you contribute?
Well, this is something you're not going to hear very much, Ben. They're selling gold and silver coins for alternative currency and bitcoins, etc., for protecting your assets in the future. But if something happens untoward that causes us to be able to have a breakdown in commerce, you want to, and this is something you're not going to hear very much, you want to stock up on all your nutritional supplements. Like going to the bright side, Ben.com team, for all the listeners out there, stock up on everything you can think of, your EFAs, whether it be Rebound, whether it would be Beyond Tangy Tangerine,
protein too,
magnesium, protein-based stuff, nascent iodine, very very important in this day and age now.
Yep, that's right.
Magnesium, all of that stuff, and think of about this is something people need to do. They need to think in perspective of what they would buy for a whole year. And for those who can afford doing it, I know it's difficult for most people to do this, but those who can afford it, what they're going to do in the future, and it's not talked about too much, they're going to restrict our ability to be able to purchase vitamins and certain supplements that we need, nutritional supplements that we need when there's a breakdown and things. So that's my advice out there, because I don't think you can eat coins.
Well, thank you. No, you can't eat coins, and I think there's some. I think that's a really good point, Truth Raider. And you don't need you obviously need a lot of supplements, but the basic ones like B vitamins, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, vitamin C, and protein and essential fats. Man, you'd be smart to stock up on that. That's a great tip, Truth Raider. I appreciate that very much, and thanks for contributing, and thanks so much for your call. God bless you, buddy. Thanks for your work too, Truth Raider. Ken in Indiana, are you back?
This is Ben Fuchs. Can you hear me now?
I hear you much better. That was an awful connection. What's going on, my friend?
I'm sorry. I live in a rural area. I have a couple of questions for you if you have
Sure.
time. The second one is about silver sow technology. But I'm curious about the antioxidant astaxanthin. That's
Astaxanthin. We'll talk astaxanthin. We got to take a break, Ken. I apologize. Hang tight. We'll talk astaxanthin. We'll talk some colloidal silver when we come back. So hang tight. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your calls when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. On the bright side, I am Pharmacist Ben, taking your calls, 855-660-4261, talking to Ken in Indiana. Kenny, you there, man?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So a couple things. First of all, you were talking about astaxanthin, right? That's
yes.
What I think you're saying. Okay, astaxanthin's amazing stuff. It's technically called a carotenoid, like beta carotene type of substance. It's found in seafood. It's found in algae. You know how salmon has that kind of pink color? Pinker than most fish? That's astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is red. Sometimes they'll stick a synthetic astaxanthin in farmed salmon. Farmed salmon doesn't have as much of that antioxidant content as real seafood does, or as ocean seafood does. So they'll actually use astaxanthin as a cosmetic kind of ingredient. Astaxanthin is also the active ingredient in krill oil. Krill oil is some neat stuff. It's a little pricey. You only get it in capsules, so you don't really get the big doses of omega-3s that you would in ordinary fish oil. Some people don't think you need big doses of fish oil. In any any case, krill oil is really interesting stuff because the krill molecule actually has some astaxanthin in it. Astaxanthin is really important for protecting you from the sun. It's anti-aging. It's got cardiovascular benefits. It can improve blood fats. On and on. The benefits are just tremendous. But it is just one of 800 different carotenoid substances. As important as it is, I don't know if I'd be supplementing with astaxanthin. You're probably best off getting your astaxanthin in foods like algae, especially seaweed algae. Fucoidin, the Z radical, will get you some astaxanthin. Does that help you?
Yes, but I was taking 5 milligrams a day. Is that?
There's more important things to take, in my opinion. I mean, it's not going to hurt you, certainly, but there's more important things to say, and there's no real dosage. Nobody really knows how much astaxanthin you need. I don't know if 5 milligrams is a good dose because nobody knows if 5 milligrams is a good dose or how much you really need. Astaxanthin is important stuff, yes, but it's only one of, as I say, 800 different carotenoids, 700 or 800 different carotenoids. As important as it is, I don't want to marginalize its importance, but it is only one of a bunch of carotenoid substances, and you need them all. That's, in my opinion, the best way to get your astaxanthin is from salmon and seafood, seaweed, I should say, salmon and seaweed.
My second question is about silver soap technology. Now, I can tell you a brand name. I don't know if you want me to tell you that.
Sure, go ahead.
Was it super, what am I thinking of? I'm sorry, I can't think of it.
Don't worry about it. What was your question, or what did you want to say about it?
A lot of people, there's two kinds. There's itemized, and then there's Gorilla. Supernatural Silver is what I'm thinking of, the brand name.
I'm not sure what you're saying by atom. You said atomized colloidal silver?
Well, it's itemized. I mean, it's...
Itemized, like with an I or with an A?
Yeah, I is I.
Itemized?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that term. I don't know what that means.
Well, I'm probably not saying it correctly then. But
okay.
But what a supernatural silver, and how much should you take? Is that good stuff for the body, and can you give it to children?
I don't really talk about colloidal silver that much because it's more of a killer, an antiseptic kind of substance. It does have some benefits for burns. They'll use silver in general for burns, and it's non-toxic, but it's not nutrition. And I like focusing on nutrition. That's the whole premise of the bright side is we're not sick, we're starving. And so we want to focus on how to help the body do what it does best. The body kills bacteria. The body kills viruses. You have an immune system that's designed to handle these things. And when you start using antibiotics and antiseptics, yeah, they have their place. I'm certainly not, I don't mean to marginalize colloidal silver. It has its place. It's been used successfully to treat multiple disease states. But if you have a disease state, you got something wrong with your body, and you can't just stay on colloidal silver. Your goal should be to try to figure out what the heck's wrong with your body that's allowing these allowing disease states to persist. And that's why I very rarely talk about colloidal silver, as helpful as it can be, especially if you're dealing with some kind of abrasion or burn or some kind of digestive gut problem, as we've been talking about. There's a place for colloidal silver, and there's a lot of radio shows that talk about it, but I don't really emphasize it too much on this program simply because I don't believe that the body needs these kinds of things if it is healthy and strong and vital. And that, my friends, is the job of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Give the body what it needs. Give the body what it works with. Let the body do the work. That's the way I look at it.
It would be good to have it around to use as treatments, but not take or to ward off colds, but not something you take daily. But still, it's a good. Okay.
It wouldn't hurt you to take it daily, but you should be more focused on. We have a limited amount of resources. We've got a limited amount of time. You can't sit there and take supplements all day. You can't spend all your money on supplements. So you got to pick and choose. In my opinion, you'd be better off working with vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, glutamine, working on digestive health, staying away from problem foods. If you're getting sick regularly, more than once every couple of years, that's what I mean. It's certainly more than once a year. Colloidal silver may help you a little bit, but you got a bigger problem. That's what you should be focusing on. I hope that helps. Go ahead.
Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, listen, I want to ask you real quick. I know I'm stealing your time today, but how about these electronic cigarettes and the actual nicotine you get them? And because that's one of my downfalls.
They're sure better than smoking, my friend. Better than smoking.
I don't smoke, but nicotine's effect on the body. Is there any positive effects?
Yeah, nicotine has got tremendous untoward effects. Aside from being very addicting, nicotine is actually a neurotransmitter. It's a brain chemical, and the last thing you want to do is start flooding your body with a brain chemical like nicotine. It goes right into your blood. It goes right into your brain. It doesn't. That's the problem with smoking. It goes directly into the blood, and then it goes into the brain. Nicotine acts like a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that's involved in relaxation, and that's one of the reasons why people smoke. They get that kind of relaxing effect. But it's really terrible stuff. It turns out that pesticides work very much the same way as nicotine. In fact, nicotine and pesticides have a lot in common in terms of their biochemistry. So you're basically inhaling a sort of pesticide when you inhale your smoke. I got to move on, Ken. I hope that helped you, buddy.
Thank you so much.
God bless, man. And by the way, nicotinic acid or niacin, vitamin B3, is similar in this regard, too. And that's why nicotinic acid or niacin has been used to treat social anxiety disorder. Nicotine and niacin both can have a slightly relaxing effect, and it can help you. Nicotine and niacin both have a slightly relaxing effect, and using niacin, vitamin B3, can be a trick for helping wean you off of the nicotine addiction associated with cigarette smoking. All right, let's see. Lena in Texas, welcome to the Bright Side. What's up?
Hi, Ben. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, my dear. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I hear you're going to be here in Austin.
You're in Austin.
The times.
I hope I get to see you. You're going to come by and say hi?
I'm surely going to try.
Okay, good deal. I hope you do.
What are the time frames you're going to be here?
I think I'm just there for the day. I'll fly in Thursday, leave Friday, but I think it's at 7 o'clock, and I'll probably get to the bookstore early and hang out and talk to folks, and I'll stay as late as you need, but I'm going to try and get there around 5:30, 6 o'clock and hang out with folks, so I hope I get to see you.
Well, awesome. Hopefully I'll get to shake your hand, but I have two quick questions. I hear you often talk about your skin product line. I need to know where I can find it. Or
I'm selling I started a skincare company 1991, 23 years ago, and I'm currently in the process of selling it, and then I'm going to start another one, depending on what kind of non-competes I have to deal with. I'll be selling this one. So in the meantime, you can buy products. The name of the company is Sanitas, S-A-N as in Nancy, I-T-A-S, Sanitas. And it won't be mine. They're all my formulas, and as I say, started the company, but I got involved with some business folks, and I'll be selling it here hopefully this year, hopefully in the next few months. And then we'll be moving on, and I'm not sure. Sometimes when you sell a company, I've never sold a company before, but sometimes what I hear is you get non-compete, so I'm not sure how that'll all play out, but I'll let you know. I'll be talking about it on the air. And then I'm looking to do a skincare radio show. Hopefully I'll be doing that sometime in the next few months anyway, starting that out. We're still exploring how that's going to work out.
And my second question is, what do you think about this Strivectin skin product?
Please, that's just a waste. Strivectin is a silly product. In fact, I started Sanitas because I got so ticked off by silly products where they'll put a drop of this and a drop of that in the product and then sell it as a fancy product. Strivectin contains peptides in it. It was one of the first products that had peptides, and as you know, we've talked about peptides in the past for skincare. Don't waste your money on Strivectin, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Don't waste your money on that stuff. I created a product called Peptiderm, which is nearly 60% peptide ingredients, as opposed to like 1 or 2%, which is what Strivectin is. So I would, and it's very expensive, by the way. Strivectin, I think, is like $100 or even more now for a jar of cream. There's no way a jar of product should cost $100. Folks, the skincare business is so unconscionable, and I've been in it for a really long time. It's just a nasty business. But you got people who know nothing about the skin. You have bookkeepers and accountants who are selling skincare products because they can make money. It's just not fair. It's rude, and that's what I'll be talking about, hopefully, if I do this radio program on skincare, which we're still exploring. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I apologize if I left you on hold. Call back tomorrow and tell our call screener we left you on hold, and we'll get you first up. Check out my webinar tonight. All right, it's not my webinar, but I'll be doing a webinar for Natural Health Solutions, Natural Solutions Health Summit, naturalsolutionshealthsummit.com. And I encourage you all to check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, and to join the team at brightsideben.com. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more good health information. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.